Good day, everyone. Today, we take a look at 10 interesting facts on Hoshi Sato from Star Trek Enterprise. Consider subscribing to the channel if you like our content. Now, let's get into it. Number 1. Born in Kyoto, Japan in July 9, 2129, the second of 3 children, Hoshi Sato showed from an early age that she was gifted. Most of her childhood was spent with private tutors learning languages. Sato did not have an opportunity to become close to anyone. To her, it was often normal to spend an entire day virtually alone. This feeling of isolation stayed with Sato throughout her life. Even as an adult surrounded by other people, Sato still felt alone. The reason she studied languages was to try and make connections with other people and cultures. The last person Sato was really close to was her grandfather. When she was 12 years old, Sato had a pen pal from Brisbane, Australia. She loved receiving letters from her pen pal. Number 2. When Sato was young, she often claimed her stomach was slightly unsettled as an excuse not to eat her grandmother's soba noodles, which she disliked. Eventually, though, it became one of her favorite foods. Sato was never called to the principal's office. Her mother wanted her to become a pianist, but Sato chose a scientific career instead. She also had a black belt in Aikido. Number 3. After mastering a number of Earth languages, Spanish, French, and German among them, Sato went to school to become an exolinguist. She graduated second in her class and went on to spend 3 years at Starfleet Training Command. She had 2 training tours and had both times portside quarters. In her second month, Sato was discharged for breaking her company commander's arm after a dispute about a weekend poker game she organized for new recruits. Starfleet allowed her back in on probation since they really needed language experts. By the end of her training, she had been cleared for EM sidearms and Class 3 pulse rifles. Number 4. While a university professor in Brazil, Sato and 2 colleagues took a hydro skimmer to see the wildlife around the Amazon River, but she was terrified by it. She taught languages at Amazon University, but took a commission aboard Enterprise as communications officer in order to have a chance to experience new languages from outer space. She was initially reluctant to leave her position, but was convinced by Jonathan Archer to end her leave from Starfleet and join the mission. Archer tempted Sato with the realization that she would encounter numerous species and have the opportunity to discover many new languages. Number 5. The reason Archer chose Sato to be part of the crew on Enterprise was due to her superior language skills. Sato was the first human to become fluent in Klingonese, which she learned from a linguistic database provided by the Vulcans. Her skill in translating Klingonese came in handy during Enterprise's first mission in returning the Klingon warrior Klang to Kronos and preventing the Suliban from starting a civil war. When Klang regained consciousness aboard Enterprise en route to Kronos, Sato was able to obtain information that helped the mission. She also convinced Klang that he was not among enemies, and was able to facilitate enough communication between the Klingons and Archer to allow them to visit Kronos and return Klang. Number 6. Hoshi's quarters aboard Enterprise were initially located on E-Deck, starboard section 5. At her request, she was relocated in a swap with Ensign Porter. Thereafter, her quarters were on C-Deck. Sato was uncomfortable with the use of the transporter. To Malcolm Reed's comment that the transporter console won't bite, she just remarked, "No, it'll just scramble your molecules." Sato's knowledge of Vulcan proved invaluable. When an away team led by T'Pol became infected by plant life on a planet, making them paranoid and dangerous to each other, she was able to tell T'Pol in Vulcan that there was an antidote on the way. Sato was able to decrypt Vulcan messages that T'Pol was receiving, but left Commander Tucker with the language database so he could translate it himself, as she felt very uncomfortable with possibly reading private information. Number 7. By 2152, Sato spoke and understood between 38 and 40 languages. Sato was in charge of monitoring other vital systems besides communications. When the Suliban Silic had infiltrated Enterprise disguised as a religious pilgrim, she discovered that he attempted to bypass the lockout codes in Shuttle Pod Launch Bay 1. During her first experience with the transporter in 2152, Sato imagined she was starting to disappear after returning to Enterprise, and that aliens were attempting to destroy the ship. While attempting to stop them, she materialized on Enterprise and discovered she had imagined it all while being caught in the pattern buffer for several seconds. Number 8. In January of 2155, Sato was responsible for improvements made to the Universal Translator. During the Terra Prime crisis, Captain Archer left her in command of the Enterprise, fondly recalling when she used to jump every time the engines hiccuped. Hoshi replied that she still did, she just had gotten better at hiding it. While the rest of the senior staff were rescuing Trip Tucker and T'Pol from the surface of Mars, Sato disobeyed orders from Nathan Samuels to destroy the array after the deadline for all non-humans to leave the Sol system had passed, despite her orders left by Archer to destroy the Verteron array if his team could not stop it from firing on San Francisco, hoping Archer would stop Terra Prime in time, going as far as to prevent Samuels from contacting Admiral Gardner. Luckily, Tucker managed to alter the target so the array fired into the ocean, just as Sato was about to open fire. Number 9. Sato was still serving aboard Enterprise with the rank of ensign when the ship was decommissioned in 2161. After the ship's final mission to rescue Tala, the daughter of the Endorian Shran, and following the death of her crewmate, Commander Charles Tucker III, she attended the historic founding ceremony of the United Federation of Planets in San Francisco. Sato, presumably, returned to Brazil a few weeks after the ceremony, as she told Travis Mayweather. Following the signing of the Federation Charter, Sato went on to serve in the Federation Starfleet for a time. She retired from Starfleet with the rank of Lieutenant Commander sometime in the mid-2160s, and went on to develop the Lingua Code Translation Matrix. Number 10. In an alternate timeline, where Earth was destroyed by the Xindi, Sato had been promoted to lieutenant by 2165 and was the executive officer of Enterprise. She was killed that year when the bridge of the Enterprise was destroyed in a Xindi attack in the Ceti Alpha system. In another timeline, where Enterprise inadvertently traveled back in time to 2037, Sato had 2 children, a boy named Taru and a girl named Yoshiko. She had died by the year 2154. I do hope you enjoyed the video. What are your thoughts on Hoshi Sato? Let me know in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and if you would like to be a member, feel free to join the membership. Take care and have a great day.